There's a question that has haunted the ambitious for centuries. What is the fastest way to get rich? Not the most moral, not the safest. The fastest. Most people spend their entire lives chasing shadows, wandering aimlessly through the maze of hard work and frugality, while the truth has always been in plain sight. But the wealthy, those who understand the machinery of power, have no interest in sharing it. Because if you knew how the game truly worked, you would stop playing their game and start building your own. So let's shatter the illusion. Riches don't come to the most intelligent person in the room, nor to the one sweating at the hardest job. If intelligence or effort were the key, teachers, janitors, and construction workers would dominate Forbes lists. But they don't, because the game doesn't reward virtue, it rewards power. And power, when properly leveraged, prints money. Centuries ago, Machiavelli didn't write for the masses, he wrote for the rulers. In his sharp, unapologetic prose, he taught a principle few dare: live by control brings wealth. Not work, not kindness. Control. Control of perception, of resources, of people. He understood the world as it is, not as it ought to be. And what he saw was this: money flows fastest to those who shape reality, not those who obey it. That is why the rise to riches often appears sudden. One year, a man is invisible. The next, he's making headlines, running empires, dining with kings. But nothing about his rise was sudden. It was surgical, strategic. He didn't stumble into wealth. He bent reality until it poured wealth into his lap. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are mentally caged. They believe safety equals prosperity. Work 40 years. Save. Invest modestly. Retire modestly. Demodestly. But modesty doesn't build empires. Boldness does. Machiavelli would scoff at the idea of slow wealth. He would say, "He who dares is he who ascends." The ladder to riches isn't climbed one careful step at a time. It's seized by those who leap while others hesitate. It's not luck. It's the reward for courage and cunning. The rich don't just act, they act when others freeze. They don't play fair, they play to win. Most people remain broke because they sell the one thing that never scales: time. They work by the hour, grind through tasks, hustle endlessly, believing that effort will eventually lead to breakthrough. But effort, without leverage, is a hamster wheel. The janitor mops harder. The CEO moves capital. One is exhausted. The other is enriched. Why? Because the CEO controls systems. He commands people. He owns platforms. The janitor, despite noble effort, has no leverage. Machiavelli would point to this and say, there lies your poverty not in your effort, but in your position. Power creates wealth. And power, at its core, is the ability to make others act in accordance with your vision. That's why perception matters more than truth. If you are seen as powerful, others defer to you. They lend you their time, their loyalty, their resources. You multiply those, and you ascend. That is why the fastest path to riches is to stop acting like a laborer and start positioning yourself as a leader. Stop trading effort. Start trading direction. Build systems. Build movements. Build attention. Every empire is built on the backs of those who follow. So the first step is simple: stop following. If you want wealth fast, you must abandon the environments that reward obedience and seek those that reward boldness. A job that pays you to be cautious is a cage wrapped in a salary. No matter how nice the cage, it's still a trap. The worst part, it steals your prime years. You give your youth, your energy, your fire, only to retire with crumbs. Meanwhile, those who took the risk early are now buying companies, buying land, buying time, because they moved when others stayed still. And the world always rewards movement. To move fast, you need leverage. And leverage means you do something once, but it works for you 1,000 times. That's why ownership matters. Own a business. Own digital real estate. Own assets. Own distribution channels. Whatever you do, own something. Because owners build equity, and equity compounds. Employees build empires for other people. So if you're still acting like a worker, understand this. You're building someone else's throne. And what of perception? It's the invisible engine of rapid wealth. The way people see you determines what they offer you. Influence brings deals. Charisma brings investors. Certainty brings followers. If people believe you're rising, they hand you their energy before you even ask. So control how you're seen. Control the narrative. Craft an image so compelling that people chase you before you even speak. But let's be clear, none of this works without boldness. You must develop a bias for action. Most people drown in hesitation. They want certainty. They want guarantees. But by the time they're ready, the window is gone. The rich don't wait. They leap. And yes, sometimes they fall. But more often, they land on fortunes. Because in this world, speed beats perfection. A fast, imperfect move is more powerful than a perfect move that never happened. When you move fast, people will notice. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you're reckless. But that's because you're breaking the unspoken rule: don't move without permission. But Machiavelli never asked for permission. He acted. He manipulated. He conquered. And that's why his words echo centuries later. He didn't play the game. He rewrote it. And here's where the psychology cuts deep. Most people don't act boldly because they fear loss. But the greatest loss is the life unlived. If you hesitate every time you feel fear, you hand your future to someone else. Fear, in the hands of the bold, becomes fuel. It sharpens the senses. It clarifies decision. And those who rise fastest are not those without fear, but those who move through it. So how do you begin? You act. You pick one move you've been avoiding and you execute it. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. You send the pitch. You start the brand. You call the investor. You step into the arena and you claim the attention. Because wealth doesn't wait. It doesn't reward the careful. It rewards the daring. And when you dare, truly dare, something shifts. People sense it. They gravitate toward it. And opportunities multiply at a speed that will seem like magic to those who remain stuck in the slow lane. But it's not magic. It's Machiavellian. It's strategic. It's power. Weaponized. When you embrace this mindset, the world no longer feels random. Patterns emerge. You begin to see that wealth doesn't appear by accident, it obeys laws. And those laws bend to those with leverage. Let's go deeper. If you want to move faster than the crowd, you need to stop relying on effort and start relying on multipliers. These multipliers are everywhere, but they remain invisible to those too caught up in the grind to notice them. The man working 10 hours a day has no time to look up. The man building a system steps back, sees the whole chessboard, and moves 5 pieces at once. So what are these multipliers? They come in 4 forms: money, people, knowledge, and attention. Each one, when mastered, can accelerate your rise beyond what hard work alone could ever achieve. Let's start with money. Most fear debt. The wealthy exploit it. The poor say, "I can't afford to start." The rich say, "Whose capital can I leverage to scale this faster?" Loans, partnerships, crowdfunding, investors. These are not crutches. They are catapults. When used with precision, they launch you years ahead. While others are saving to build the first brick, you've already built the tower with someone else's resources. Next, people. Machiavelli knew that the ruler doesn't pull the sword himself. He directs others to do so in his name. Power multiplies through delegation. You must learn to influence, persuade, and mobilize. A leader who inspires others to act in alignment with his vision can scale faster than any solo genius. Employees, partners, followers, these are not costs. They are engines. You don't climb the ladder alone. You build an elevator, and others help you rise. Then comes knowledge, but not the passive consumption most people mistake for learning. Real leverage lies in asymmetrical knowledge, knowing what others don't, acting before others see, spotting trends before they go mainstream, buying before the herd arrives, selling before the crowd panics. The world rewards those who move early, those who learn fast and apply faster. Reading is not enough. Learning is not enough. You must act on insight while it's still invisible. And finally, attention, the most underestimated form of leverage in the modern world. If people know your name, they trust you. If they trust you, they buy, they follow, they invest. One post, one video, one idea seen by millions. That's leverage. A man can earn more from a single broadcast of charisma than a lifetime of silent effort. Why do influencers rise so quickly? Because attention is currency, and those who command it can convert it into anything: sales, influence, capital, control. The battle for wealth is a battle for eyeballs. So what do most people do? The opposite. They try to do it all themselves. They save slowly, work silently, build cautiously. Machiavelli would call this cowardice disguised as virtue. The man who insists on moving alone wears pride like a chain. He believes self-reliance is noble, but in truth, it is slow, small, and fragile. The rich move with armies. They move with alliances. They ride waves of attention, not whispers of approval. They gather strength not to be loved, but to be obeyed. The psychology is brutal, but clear. Humans are attracted to strength. When they see someone moving with vision, clarity, and speed, they want to be a part of it. People follow motion. They don't follow perfection. That's why you must act even when the path is blurry. When others wait for the map, you build the road. That act alone creates magnetism, and magnetism is wealth. If you ignore this truth, the consequences are devastating. You burn out. You work harder while others rise faster. So what's the final step? There is none. Because once you understand leverage, once you embrace boldness, once you move faster than the doubt of the average man, you never stop. You become a force of momentum. You evolve from man to movement. And movements don't ask. They act. They disrupt. They define the era. Now ask yourself, are you willing to be seen as dangerous? Are you willing to act when others freeze? Are you willing to take so much action, so fast, that the old you wouldn't even recognize the person you're becoming? That's the standard. That's the cost. That's the path. The fastest way to get rich isn't hidden. It's just uncomfortable. It demands more from you than society ever told you to give. It requires you to think like a commander, not a follower, to act like a prince, not a pawn, and to move like the world belongs to you, not because it does, but because you're willing to take it before anyone else even tries. So burn this into your mind: wealth flows not to the careful, not to the kind, not to the quiet, but to the bold, to the fast, to the strategic. Be all three. And the world won't just give you riches, it will give you rule. Because in the end, fortune belongs to the bold. And the bold do not wait.